I kick ass for the Lord. Never loved him the way that I love you. Just drops the mic there.
Hit me with his butt.
Good afternoon, good evening to all of you out there. Welcome into 52/1993, where we're talking about the movies from 1993, 52 of them to be exact. And why are we doing that? I don't know, just because. It's been 30 years and I like to talk about movies, so I figured this would be a good way to do that. If you've never seen us before, basically what we do when we talk about these movies, we just go through them. We talk about, the stats behind them, critics' reviews, break down some key scenes or lines that we liked or quotes from the movies that we liked. And when I say we, I usually bring in a guest. Sometimes it's a recurring guest. Sometimes it's a new guest. And we talk about them, whether they're good or they're bad or, just because. Again, I'm doing this just because. I don't care. Whatever. But anyway, we have a guest talk, and then we usually interview them at the end. If they're a new guest, ask them about their interest in movies. If they're not new, that's okay. We'll talk to them about something else. I'll figure it out as I go along. That's usually how this whole thing goes. So you may have seen him before, or you may not have seen him before if this is your first time in here. But we have a recurring guest this week. It's my good friend, Joseph Sawyer, drinking out of a Troy and Abed mug currently. And I'm going to go ahead and turn him on and bring him in here. And you might have noticed also that I'm in my studio, a.k.a. my office. And we're back from a week of not being here. But let's welcome Joseph in. I think he's muted, but now he's not muted anymore. Welcome in, Joseph.
Hello, hello.
How are you doing today?
I'm just living life.
Living life. You ready?
Good laugh in earlier today, so.
It's Mr. We bit him with his butt himself, or he bit me with his butt himself. Joseph Sawyer. We're always glad Joseph's on here. I feel like I pick out really good movies for you, and that's, you could say I'm lying or not. I mean, we've done Homeward Bound, we've done Dead Alive. Now we're doing Hot Shots Part 2, a parody sequel. So I feel like I pick out the really good ones for you. That's not true to all my other guests. It's obviously not true if you've seen Hot Shots, but let's talk about it some. We'll get into some details about this movie. I don't know how much we'll have to talk plot wise about this movie, as it's probably more just lines and funny bits that we that's all I've got written down, or just lines and funny bits. So, again, this movie's title is Hot Shots Part 2. It was released on May 21st, 1993. It comes from director Jim Abrahams. You may have heard of him. He's done other movies quite similar to this, like Airplane, Police Squad, Top Secret. He also wrote for the Naked Gun series. Obviously, that comes from the Police Squad TV show. It was written by Jim Abrahams and Pat Proft. And it stars Charlie Sheen as Topper Harley, Lloyd Bridges as Tug Benson, Valeria Golino as Ramada, Brenda Baki as Michelle Huddleston, Richard Crenna as Colonel Denton Walters, Rowan Atkinson as Dexter, Jerry Haleva as Saddam Hussein, Miguel Ferrer as Harbinger, and Ryan Stiles is probably a notable person in here. I'll go ahead and put him in there too as Rabinowitz. And a synopsis of this movie for all those that are looking for plot. After multiple special teams fail to rescue a growing population of hostages held by Iraqi dictator Saddam Hussein, retired Navy pilot and American hero Topper Harley is called back to active duty once again. On orders from President Benson, Harley and his partners Harbinger and Rabinowitz parachute into Iraq and struggle to free the hostages, including the husband of Harley's old flame, Ramada. It's pretty serious synopsis there for a not very serious movie. This movie had a budget of $25 million, and if anybody's going to fact check me on how much this movie made by Googling it, you're wrong. I found the correct figure. It made $38 million, not the $133 million that it says on Google. So fact check yourself, losers. It has a Rotten Tomato score of 58% and an IMDb rating of 6.6 out of 10. And there's not much of a legacy after this. There were plans to make a third one in 1995, but that fell through because Charlie Sheen was shooting the critically acclaimed movie Terminal Velocity. If you haven't heard of that movie, there's a reason. Let me give you a couple reviews, and then we'll move on to the initial reactions to this, our reactions to this movie, and break down some of our favorite scenes and lines and all that good stuff. So Roger Ebert said movies like this are more or less impervious to the depredations of movie critics. Either you laugh or you don't. I laughed. Roger Ebert gave this 3 out of 4 stars. Regardless, if you were one of the many who thought the original film was brilliant, you'll undoubtedly laugh yourself stupid over this one too. Me? I think I'll turn on the VCR and watch the Marx Brothers A Night at the Opera again. Mark Savlov of the Austin Chronicle gave it 2 out of 5 stars, so he did not like it. So now that I've went through all of the hullabaloo that I usually go through, and I did that in pretty fast record time, I think. I'm not trying to rush anybody here. I want to talk about this movie. I like this movie. Give me your thoughts on this movie, Joseph.
So I feel like Roger, at least for the last couple of reviews that I've heard and been a part of, I feel like I haven't really agreed with him much, but I couldn't really hate him for what he said about this one. Like it's exactly what it is. Like I did end up watching the first one in addition to the second one, and the first one is like more, or I guess slightly more plot driven, but this one is just kind of like grab bag. So it's just about the comedy. Like that's all it is, and it made me laugh as well. So yeah, it was funny.
I thought about watching the first one again. I watched them both last year when I was doing the 365 movies, and you're right. The first one I think also is the more popular parody, I would say. Top Gun, like Rambo but it doesn't really do much parody of Rambo in this. When you asked me, should I watch Rambo before I watch this, I was like, absolutely not. There's no need to watch Rambo at all because it's pretty awful. In the parody, it's pretty much he's just playing dress up anyway. But yeah, the first one is a Top Gun parody, and I think that is a little bit better, I'd say. I don't know. What'd you think? Did you like the first one better than the second one?
I did like the first one slightly better. I felt like some of the jokes hit a little bit better, and this one kind of got a little bit just too like absurd at points. But they're pretty close.
Yeah, and I think he's right too. I think that movies like this, and I'll ask you some questions at the end about parody movies, but like I feel like a parody can't be critiqued. I've seen some pretty terrible parodies, like Epic Movie or Date Movie. Like those are really bad, but like for the most part, even if they make you chuckle, they're doing what they're supposed to do.
Yeah. As long as you have some good jokes in there, like you'll probably at least get a star out of me, you know?
Yeah,
like,
at least a star. And one thing I mean, I think Charlie Sheen is perfect in these movies. I don't know if you like Charlie Sheen, you hate Charlie Sheen, but I think he is the king of parody movies. He was in these and then Scary Movie 3 and maybe the other one. I haven't watched Scary Movie past 3, so but his deadpan delivery of every line, the seriousness of every line is just so good in this movie.
Yes.
So
I think I do like him better than you were talking about 365 last year. I watched Top Secret for the first time ever, and Charlie Sheen's way better than Val Kilmer for that type of a role. I did like Top Secret, I think, better than both of them, but
I do think
that was
Top Secret's a better movie than these, and
yeah,
I think Airplane is a better movie than these too.
yeah,
But there were some
but
great.
not because of Val Kilmer. No
No,
fault of Charlie Sheen. I would say like he's pretty perfect for this type of role.
I agree with you. I was like, as I was watching this, I was like furiously like writing down lines that I thought were very, very funny, or things that I thought was pretty good. So, um,
It's hard to keep up.
it was. I mean, there was so much going on at one point that I was like, I'm done. I'm not gonna write down these things anymore. Um, anyway, let's go ahead and break it down as much as we can. The first scene in this movie has a lot, like I said, a lot going on in the background, a lot going on in the foreground. It's basically a team is trying to free some hostages, and they show up at Saddam Hussein's mansion or palace or whatever it is. He's making sandwiches. You got this SEAL team or whatever outside. He's eating sandwiches in bed. He's watching Arsenio Hall. I mean, this movie, one thing I wanted to say too is like, I was talking to some other people that are slightly younger than you and I feel like there's a lot here that they don't get. Like, this is a very like topical like of the time. This is such a 1993 movie.
Yes.
Like,
Yeah, and so many things like in passing too that like are like 90s, 80s references that like if you're not from that time, you won't have no idea.
yeah, and again, I guess another reason why if I showed this movie to somebody like that's in their like early mid 20s, anything like that, they're gonna be like, "What is this?" It's like if we showed this to an alien race, they would not know. And that's what I think of 25-year-olds are an alien race to me. Sorry, Zoomers. Yeah, so there's a lot of that. Like, I mean, there's some crossover. I guess there's a couple like Hillary Clinton references in this movie. And I guess with crossover just because she's still in politics. But again, like if you don't know anything about George H.W. Bush, you're not going to get some of these references. Or if you don't know who Saddam Hussein, I mean, there are people out there that like Saddam Hussein, that was nothing to them.
Yeah, he was like gone before they were, you know, human beings of their own.
Yeah. One of the things that made me laugh initially when I first went, and I mean, there were these little things like the little like product titles of everything in this movie. But like when he takes off his shirt to get changed into his pajamas and he's got the bikini tan line, that was the first time in this movie that I just audibly laughed out loud. I was not, I forgot about it.
Yeah, I think same for me.
Yeah, Arsenio Hall, that's a very dated reference. Like Arsenio was huge in the 90s and now is nobody knows what he's even doing.
What does he do?
I don't know. I would love to know what Arsenio make a comeback, man. It's been 30 years. Let's get on that. I would loved Arsenio Hall when I was a child. I don't know why. I think it was because everybody did the hoo thing. I'm embarrassed now for myself for doing
that.
Anything in this initial scene that made you laugh, or that we should talk about?
I mean, it was all kind of just like standard setup, other than just like all of the craziness with Saddam. It kind of felt like it was like starting off on a way like serious note. Other than that, like there wasn't like a whole lot of like outright jokes from the start.
Yeah.
It was all just kind of like subtleties. So I was like, okay, taking a little different angle, but then it kind of like kicked into gear after that.
Yeah, so just a lot going on here. I think there's a couple things if you look at in some of the products that he has in his refrigerator, everything had a like old Milwaukee beer was old Iraqi beer, hamburger helper, falafel helper. Hungry Man was Hungry Nomad, and Aunt Jemima, which is no longer a product, was Aunt Jamal.
Oh, I didn't see it. That's funny.
Um, so just some little funny things there, and then of course him like
Right.
blindly shooting and everything. Um, that was pretty good. The next scene though that I want to talk about is the kickboxer scene, and this is a reference to Jean-Claude Van Damme's Kickboxer. So this is a direct parody.
Yeah.
Showing jacked Charlie Sheen. One of my fun facts is that he worked out 8 hours a day to get jacked for this role, like, and just for like, because he didn't want to be like skinny or flabby or anything. He wanted to be a true parody of Sylvester Stallone. So good for him for committing to the bit. But if you've ever seen Kickboxer, there's a scene in which the fighters have their gloves, like their wraps on, and they dip them in like hot glue and then put glass on them. And they show you that in the fight scene. But then in this, it's caramel and gummy bears.
I think my favorite part of it was like the crowd getting into it, like trying to tell him which one to pick. They're like, sprinkles, no, gummy bears, sprinkles.
I had that written down. I was like, the sprinkles chant is the funniest thing. Sprinkles, sprinkles, sprinkles.
Yeah.
Oh God, it's so good. I guess there's not much else to say in that scene because it's just
No.
it's really just that. And then they're trying to, again, there's very little plot, but I'm just moving scene to scene here. They move to like a monastery where Topper, Charlie Sheen's character, has been staying for a while. Oh, I thank you somebody in the chat for Saharan rap. Saharan rap instead of Saran rap. Yeah. Which made me a little mad because I was like, the Sahara Desert? Come on, man. That's not even there. That's in another continent, bro.
Well, also, like, are there a lot of jungles in Iraq? I mean,
I don't know what the geography of Iraq is, but I don't know. I'm not looking for movie realism, I guess.
Yeah.
With this one.
Oh, one thing before you move on from the kickboxing scene, the like finish him move, where he hit him in the crotch so hard that he spit walnuts out of his mouth.
Oh yes, I forgot about.
And overlook that.
It was
that was worthy of like Mortal Kombat, Like,
yes, that was great. The monastery scene has one of my favorite lines from this movie too. He goes up there and he's, he brings the new character. I think her name's Michelle, and she's, supposed to be a hot girl character. But he's like, "Who are these people?" And the guy that's talking to Topper says, "Well, that guy's an extra."
Yeah, outright. And then I don't think you see him again, do you?
No, you never see him after that. It's pretty great. And then he says that Michelle is like FBI or whatever she is. But he says these men have taken a vow of celibacy like their father before them. And I don't know why. I think that is such a funny line.
I didn't even catch that. That one missed me.
I used to watch this as a child and not get a lot of these jokes. So I'm glad that I've watched it in the last couple of years and been like, "Oh yeah, that is funny."
Yeah.
So
I still think like there's probably a ton that I missed, like because it was nonstop, and some of it I probably didn't get as well, even at our age.
Yeah. There were stuff like I was like scanning through it today. I had watched it on Thursday and I was like scanning through it today to make sure I was, perfecting my notes and stuff. And there was stuff today that I was just like, I didn't see that before. I don't know why I didn't notice that before, but like one that's coming up, I'll tell you about. But the colonel or whatever tries to convince Topper that he needs to go on this mission. We need him, blah, blah, blah. There's a couple different things going on in this scene. Like the monks in the background are like performing for Michelle, and like there's like a buff one, and you hear her be like, "Nice butt," and it's so weird. It's so weird. There's like a dog doing tricks. There's I
I
love.
do think that's one of my favorite like slapstick thing is like when things are happening in the background that are like not the focus of the scene, but kind of end up being the focus of the scene.
Yeah.
I love that kind of writing. Like that's some of my favorite stuff.
Somebody in chat has asked about the president being on screen yet. I mean, I'm sure has been on screen. I think there are a couple different scenes with the president.
Yeah, we get him pretty early, probably before this. Oh yeah, we definitely do because he has the Abe Lincoln cookie jar, which was probably my first like huge laugh out loud moment. I don't know why it just really got me that it was a cookie jar.
So this is Jeff Bridges' dad, Lloyd Bridges, who's been like part of comedy movies for years. He did a lot of westerns and stuff when he was in younger years, but Lloyd Bridges, dude's hilarious. I mean, he was funny. He was in the first one, right?
Yes,
Yes.
yeah, he was like the admiral in the first one. Kind of the same role though, just kind of like has a bunch of weird injuries where he's basically a cyborg and just doesn't know what's going on a lot of the times. Uh, yeah,
No, these people like I don't think you could have a better cast of people in a movie like this. That it was too good. Like having Ryan Stiles in this movie, or even Rowan Atkinson, who shows up in this movie for like a couple minutes, like is almost like bad casting. Not that they were bad, but like you almost need these other people in here that need to be taken more seriously. I don't know. Lloyd Bridges is freaking great though in this movie. In the he's not in a ton of it, but he's in enough. Especially
yeah,
at the end of the movie with the fight scenes and stuff like that. It was pretty great.
yeah. We'll get to that.
Yeah. Still in this monastery scene, the colonel starts telling Topper the story of the three little bears and Goldilocks. And he said, I just love Topper's response. He's like, and the little girl is me, right? His next line, if this is about me coloring my hair, and he cuts him off. Like, I just rolling at this.
He's like, he's so like dialed in too. Like he's never heard the tale before. He's just like mystified by this story. That was like I think that was one of my like favorite acting moments from him. That he was just like, whoa, this story. This is about me. Like, yeah, it was great, but completely out there and absurd again. Like what the Three Bears is whatever her name is. Your Three Bears is her. Like,
yeah, is Ramada.
Is Ramada, yeah.
Great. But then they show you the scene, like the Italian restaurant scene between Charlie Sheen and Ramada, Topper and Ramada, which is a direct Lady and the Tramp ripoff, parody, whatever you want to call it, with the spaghetti. And then, I mean, it just keeps going. Like, it's so funny. He, like, nudges the meatball over with his nose. In the background, I don't know if you noticed in the background. I'm sure you did.
You know I did.
The Godfather reference of the first Godfather film is like reenacting in the background. That one I noticed on this rewatch. He says, she says, kiss me like you've never kissed me before. And so he kisses, like he puts his mouth around her nose. I was dying.
Oh my gosh. I lost it when he started like nudging the meatball with his nose too. Man. And then I was expecting like at some point just like the shots, you know, like no spoilers or anything, but if you've seen The Godfather, like that's not how that restaurant scene plays out.
I actually rewatched it because I was like, did I fall asleep and miss them like do the reenacting? No, you don't see it though.
Yeah.
The Flurvian Sea. It's the name of that restaurant.
What a weird name. That's not an actual sea? That can't be.
I don't know. Spencer, look that up for me. Flurvian Sea, please.
Oh, actually, chat says don't spoil it. I'm sorry. Okay. It's not like Lady and the Tramp. I'll put it that way. In The Godfather.
The Godfather's like 50 years old. Watch a movie, please.
Speaking of which, well, we'll get there.
Go for it. Jump in.
There's a spoiler in the credits. Did you see that?
I trust me, I did not watch the credits for this movie.
They the only reason I did is because when I watched the first one, I just had the credits kind of like going to the side, and I look over and there's like a brownie recipe on the screen, like scrolling by, and I was like, oh, okay, so we keep the jokes going in the credits. So I like rewound it and watched it all the way. But in this one, there's like an actual spoiler for a movie called The Crying Game, which I haven't seen. So
Oh wow, yeah, now I kind of want to see the. I've seen the Crying Game.
very brief, but I mean, I'm assuming it's an actual. It could be a joke. I don't know, but I guess I could have researched that, but I didn't want to because I haven't seen the movie. So
Should we watch the Crying Game next on this?
yeah, let's watch it right now.
I remember my uncle has a great. My uncle watched the Crying Game like 10 years ago or something like that, and he was telling me about it at our family Christmas. And boy, was he shocked at the ending of the Crying Game.
Yeah, I just looked up a brief thing to see if it was like an actual movie, because you never know with these kind of jokes, but it was like on a list of like crazy movie endings. So
Yeah.
I was like, oh, yikes! That's
Yeah. And
before internet spoilers.
Yeah, my uncle was really shocked by the ending of the Crying Game. So,
Get him on here.
yeah, I would love that. I would love to see that. This would be
Spencer's got us here.
There is a song called Three Bears, Flurvian Sea by Basil Polidorus featuring Barry Manilow. I mean, that has to be what it's about. Three Bears.
I think that guy looks familiar. I think he did the soundtrack.
Oh, really?
So that's probably the song from this movie. I think. Maybe. I might be mistaken.
Well, I got some more research to do after this.
I swear I saw his name, but
Basil Polidorus. That sounds fake. And the fact that they have Barry Manilow. I mean, it probably was made for this movie. Who knows? The first movie was a success, so they were like, "This is it. Like, we gotta
do it."
I'm trying to think. Anything else in that Italian? Anything else in that Italian restaurant scene that we're missing?
No, I think that was about it. Godfather, Lady and the Tramp combo.
Love that. The next stuff I had, I'm glossing over this, but it's just like introducing Michelle, or is that her name? I keep forgetting now. Yeah, Michelle.
Yeah.
By the way, every female character's name that's referenced in this movie's middle name is Rodham. That's the direct connection to Hillary Rodham Clinton. So it's Michelle Rodham Huddleston and Ramada Rodham, whatever her last name is. So that's a pretty
Rodham.
Ramada Rodham. And I think they say somebody else's name in this movie too, and say Rodham as the middle name. I thought that was kind of a funny little thing.
So why not?
Yeah, her and Topper developed that relationship or whatever, and I'm almost doing this or remembering all of these things like I was a kid. Like I remember the mole scene where she takes off the mole and gives it to him.
That's something that I think I remember too from like I've never seen the full movie before, but I've seen like pieces of it, and I think I remember like the whole like pocketing the mole.
Well, there's a mole scene in Men in Tights too, which comes out this year, and we're gonna talk about this year. I think like the prince in Men in Tights, he has a mole that like moves all over his face throughout the movie. So I don't know why moles are funny to people. Yeah, like Austin Powers has a mole scene. I guess moles are really funny to people.
Well, yeah, especially because of the wordplay, with there being like somebody is betraying them at this point, so somebody is a mole.
And then there who it could be. Who knows?
Say.
We gotta. I feel I'm missing like there's a whole like love making scene or sex scene in there. Yeah.
Let's talk about it.
Okay, let's talk about it. I don't have anything written down for it, so you're gonna have to talk about it.
Nothing from the sex scene.
I didn't have anything written for the sex scene.
Oh my goodness, the sex. Okay, so we talked about this briefly, but the sex scene from the first Hot Shots is way better
Oh,
with
yes.
the egg on the belly and the bacon on the belly. Like that was awesome. Michelle, let's see what happens with Michelle. She's got a high dive above her bed. That's how she like gets on top of him. She like takes off her top and like does like a swan dive on top of him. So that was awesome. Um, and then like she's literally like riding him with the cowboy hat and like firing a pistol. You don't remember
Oh,
that?
yes, yes. And this is a direct parody of the Basic Instinct. If you've ever seen Basic Instinct, I don't know if you have or not.
I don't think so.
No, but this is so like her tying up his hands to the bed and that
Yeah.
like serious music in there. In Basic Instinct, I mean, this is kind of Sharon Stone's like modus operandi of like this is how she like kills people or doesn't kill people, whatever your interpretation in that movie. It's in the first scene of the movie. Go watch it.
Okay.
But yeah,
That makes
like
a lot of sense.
this is like where she gets the ice pick out and everything, and it's crazy. Definitely worth a watch.
Yeah,
Though.
because she reaches like she's gonna grab something scary, but it's like a screwdriver, so she can fix
Yes.
the because it's like squeaking. So that's what that is. Okay.
Are we gonna ignore her striking a match on her leg? That's what somebody in chat said. I don't remember that, but again, it's our resident match lighting expert, Spencer, providing us. Can it be done, Spencer?
He would know it. I missed that. Yep.
I missed it too. Yeah. I forgot all about the sex scene, and then once you said the swan dive, I was back in.
There it was.
Yeah. And then they go on their mission or whatever. It leads to the airplane. This is where she gives him the mole, and he like puts it on his or she puts it on his face. It's absurd. Mole transfer. If
I guess.
Dumb. It's so dumb. This also leads to a scene that I think like I'm surprised more people on like TikTok haven't like referenced this scene, but the other soldiers on the flight are like sitting on there. You're kind of introduced to them, Rabinowitz, and then the black guy's name is I don't remember. I don't have it written down. But then you also have Harbinger in there, and he's putting on the face black stuff, and then he like hands it over to the black guy. It's terrible. Like, and the black guy just looks at him, just like,
"Come on, man,
come on." It's just, I mean, they don't make movies like this anymore, ever, and I don't know if they can. Like, the Wayans brothers kind of have stolen all of this and done this well too, but they're really the only people that do it anymore. So
yeah.
Yes, Geronimo. That was one of my favorites. Geronimo. Me. I used to do that when I was a kid. I used to shout like Geronimo and then do the me line whenever I was jumping out of like trees or something.
Nice.
I was a cool kid, trust me.
Also, I mean, this might be a little dark, but we never see the actual Geronimo again that jumped out of the plane, right?
That is a little dark. Did
he had
he had a parachute, right?
He did.
I don't know. Now I'm
Lost
sad. Now you've made me sad.
Sorry, man. I just was worried about him, you know?
Let's see what else we got here from the plane. Anything with
once they land is when what's her name comes back in. Ramada Radam.
Oh yeah, there's a scene. So they have like a fight scene between Ramada and Topper, and then she's like their contact to get him in there. He doesn't know. She doesn't know that he was supposed to be doing this. This is where they find out like she's married to a guy named Dexter. I think that's right.
Dexter.
Yeah. and then they get on a boat. Um, and this boat is a play on Apocalypse Now. And this is my favorite thing. I think this is the smartest joke and the best joke in the entire movie. Um,
I
is
already know what you're going to
yeah,
reference. Yes.
and like he starts writing in his journal. It's very Apocalypse Now. Also, this is great because Charlie Sheen's dad, Martin Sheen, was in the original Apocalypse Now, and then you hear Martin Sheen come in with his own narration bit here, and they cross in different boats, and they both look at each other and they say, "I loved you in Wall Street," and it's the funniest thing ever.
Oh yeah, I do think that's one of like the smartest like cameos I've ever seen in
Yeah.
any movie.
We need more Charlie Sheen, Martin Sheen. Throw in Emilio too, and it'd be even better.
And not even like it's not even they didn't even like mention like the father son thing. It was just like loved you in Wall Street. Oh, it was so good.
And I did not get that reference when I was a child when I watched this, and I
Right.
still knew when I was a child that was one of my favorite lines because I would say it when I would talk about this movie. I would say I loved you in Wall Street and never knew what it meant. I actually hadn't even seen Wall Street until last year when I was doing my 365. So, go watch.
Did you think of this immediately?
Yes, I was like, this makes that joke worth it now. I love that. I love it so much. Oh no! After this, they're on the boat, and she tells him about being married before, and this bit is so good. And it comes up I think twice in the movie, and she's like, Topper goes, "You're joking." And she says, "If I were joking, I would say a horse walks into a bar. Bartender says, 'Why the long face?' He goes, 'Okay, I get it. You're married.'"
Yes, the best joke though, again, unfortunately, is from the first movie. That because they did the same thing, like a little in the first movie, and it was a joke I had never heard before. So I'm gonna throw it out there.
Yes.
What do you do with an elephant with 3 balls?
I don't know.
Walk him and pitch to the rhino. Right? See, that one's so. I mean, yeah.
Man, all right. Everybody go back and watch Hot Shots because it's so good.
It really is. But yeah, like the same. Like I feel like they did it twice in this, and it was like the standard jokes, like
Yeah.
horse walks into the bar, rabbi, priest walks into the bar. But that first joke from the first one was awesome.
It's so good. Oh my gosh, what do you do? I've never. Oh my gosh, I forgot all about it. Now I regret not going back and watching Hot Shots for this.
Never too late.
It's never too late. And then their boat. I think at this part the boat gets attacked by Saddam Hussein's soldiers. They have to pose as men and also pretend to not be American or English.
And try to be fishermen.
Yeah, and try and be
Wow,
fishermen. The guy trying to put the worm on the hook.
That might be the cringiest moment of the whole movie for me. Was when he like licks the worm like he's gonna throw it through a needle.
And then Ramada just throws wearing just the worst mustache ever and just throws the fishing rod out into the lake. That was good.
Yeah.
And the only reason they catch him is because she goes into the ladies' bathroom on the boat. That was perfect.
Nothing else gave it away. Yeah.
Yeah. What else happens in this scene?
And it just goes into an all-out firefight after that.
No, Ramada has not put the mole in her purse yet because they blow up Topper, and Topper on the boat ends up in the sand, and like they haven't done this yet, so he hasn't landed yet. No. So that happens. There's a fight scene. Let's see.
I love the way they did the like people getting blown off the boat in that scene. How they were like doing like high dives and stuff and like somersaults. The way they filmed that was so fun.
when people die in this movie, period, they're always doing like weird like pirouettes and like turns, and it's really funny. I love the way they do that
This
kind of
was
stuff.
like extreme. I saw like part of like the making of documentary where they literally were like sending people full speed off of like springboards and just like
Did you watch the making of?
I watched part of it.
Oh, that's awesome.
I was trying to find the like parody making of where they were making fun of like
The
the
apocalypse.
Heart of Darkness.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I couldn't find it anywhere. So I just landed on the
But
making of.
before we get to Charlie Sheen like falling down onto the beach, we get a scene on the Air Force One with the president, and president finds out that Topper's been has been MIA or he's killed or whatever. But his like chief of staff or whatever walks in. He says, "How's the speech going, sir?" And the president's writing it down. He's like, "I'm practicing my A's," and he's like, "Does that look like an A to you?" Oh my God, Lloyd Bridges,
Yeah.
he kills me. And that's where they. But yeah, so he blows up. He gets into the sand, and I love this. Oh no! Go back to the plane here, where the president is talking about how he's gonna have to go in, or we're gonna have to do this ourselves, and he like brings up a globe. He's like, "They're here," and he's like, "That's Minnesota." He's like, "We'll fly him over here.
We'll fly them over here.
Bring in their relatives. Teach them to ice skate." Do I need to explain everything to you?
Like he's just come up with the best idea ever.
Oh my gosh, I was dying. This movie. Now that I talk about it, I'm like, man, should I give this a better grade than I did? Or it's really fun. It's so bad. It's not great, but it's funny. It's so funny.
It is really funny.
Topper lands on the beach. We get the Ramada, picks up the mole and puts it in her own purse, and she's like, "Oh, I know this mole." And then I guess I didn't pay attention the first time I watched it, but then when she starts like I know it's obvious, but like she starts ripping her clothes to help with bandages, and like Ryan Stiles' character's like, "Oh look, I'm cut too," and he just keeps. The other guy's like, "Ooh,
points at his pants. He doesn't even like his pants aren't even like open or anything. He just points at his pants. I'm cut too.
And then the other guy's like, "Oh yeah, this one's a real gusher."
Just trying to see a little skin,
Yeah, just horny 90s. That's what it was. The horny 90s. And I think this goes to like the next to last like final fight scene where they actually go to like the camp and start get the prisoners or release the prisoners. The colonel's here, everything. There's a bunch of stuff in this scene about like the fighting. I'm trying to think of one of the first things that happens. One of the first. Oh, he strangles the guy. He's like strangling the guy, and you don't see it, and then all of a sudden you see he's wearing like a necktie.
That was great. They've all got like these like heavy duty looking guns, but they're like actually like melee weapons. Like it like launches a punching glove out and like poke the eyes. Like very very like super slapstick.
Throwing the bullets, yes. Somebody in chat's talking about throwing the bullet. That's incredible. The scene where Topper's trying to get the keys off the guy's desk to release the colonel.
That's my favorite. That's my favorite scene in the whole movie.
I just love that everything that he does when like the pepper, he pulls the pepper over and this
right in like by his nose.
And the only thing that wakes him up is a mouse that comes in at the very end there.
It's like a little mouse sneeze. It's you.
Quiet as a mouse, and that's what woke him up. Ryan Stiles fights a guy with a banana, and like he's trying to get stabbed with the banana, and he ends up eating it. And then the next guy slips on the banana peel. Yep. That was great. The
iconic shooting the chicken.
Yes.
At the guy happens there too. Yep.
Trying to think if there's anything else big here. Yeah, this is one where you see like people the way they die just is hilarious in this scene. A lot of just like stunt work here. Yeah, the guy getting the keys clearly fitting through the bars is hilarious to me.
Yep, classic.
We find out that Harbinger, who's kind of been weird in this whole movie, like he keeps disappearing. He disappeared in the opening scene. And so Topper thinks he's the mole, the one that's been sabotaging everything, and we find out that he's just scared to fight anymore after he's killed for so long. He's just like, I don't want to do it anymore. And I love this line. I caught it this time where he's like, "Hey, rainy face, let the sun come out, you big old bad GI Joe."
Oh my god,
Like,
his little like pep talk there is absolutely ridiculous.
I want to use some of these lines so bad. "Hey, rainy face, let the sun come out." Oh, the death counter, which is a funny bit, I guess, because like at this time, RoboCop, Total Recall all had like high body counts in those movies. The total body count in this movie is 114. It beat both of those combined, so that's a fun one.
And then that's where the tagline like bloodiest movie ever
Yes.
pops up.
But we've already seen the bloodiest movie this year.
I think we have.
Definitely have. Dead Alive is far and away the bloodiest movie I've ever seen.
Wait, didn't one of the? Yeah, you're probably right.
What?
I'm not even gonna contest it. I was gonna say, didn't one of the never mind.
He forgot, folks.
Yeah, it's escaping me. Apologies.
Apologies to everybody. Joseph forgot something. Trying to think anything else. We got the puncher thing. Shining, Cabin in the Woods. Cabin in the Woods might be bloodiest now. I'd look into it. Have you ever seen Terrifier? Might be the bloodiest movie I've ever seen in my life. Which, if you
How about the sequel?
I haven't seen Terrifier 2.
All right.
Terrifier 1 was just insane. I know this is just a weird caveat we're just talking about, and that like we're on a different path here. Terrifier. If you like scary movies, watch Terrifier. It is something to behold. Yeah, I was about to say, I think I made you watch that, Spencer. So, what else here? This is where he goes to rescue Dexter. This leads up to like the end of the movie. Dexter's at like the palace area, so Topper has to go save him there, and then this is where we get the final like confrontation between him and Saddam Hussein, and then the president shows up after like swimming. It's just so stupid.
Is Iraq landlocked? I don't know where it is.
I think it's on.
Or is it on the Gulf over there?
I mean, there's a sea. I know there is.
I don't know where they're swimming from.
I don't know where they're swimming from. None of it makes sense.
It's not Minnesota.
It's not Minnesota. You're right, and it's not the Mount Rushmore that we see on the Iraqi coast there.
Oh yeah, I forgot about Mount Rushmore. We cut from Mount Rushmore to them swimming somewhere, and then they're okay. Yeah.
He says the line about swimming, and he's like, "And why did I replace my air tank with helium?" Like, so dumb. Yeah. So they get that final fight scene, and then we get a Star Wars parody with the president and Saddam Hussein. But before that, I mean, we get Topper doing a sword fight with him, and he fights him, and he breaks his sword on a candle, which I think is a direct reference to what the movie that I'm watching behind me, Three Musketeers. In Three Musketeers, Charlie Sheen's character swipes a candle and like cuts it in 3 places, and it falls off. But in this movie, it doesn't. But sorry, we're not watching Three Musketeers this year. It is a 1993 movie, so.
Wow.
I know. I feel bad. I do love when he fights with the phone, though.
Yes, the phone antenna.
The phone antenna. And when he stabs Saddam Hussein with the phone antenna, and Saddam like reacts, he's like, "Oh," and then he realizes. Oh, Spencer's got to go. Thanks for everything you do, Spencer. Yeah,
Yeah, thanks, Spencer.
he's my moderator / researcher whenever I'm doing these things. So he unfortunately has to go, and now we won't have any research for the rest of the show. Thanks, Spencer.
Thanks for being here.
So we get that and Star Wars reference, which I didn't think was that funny. Like, it's just a parody. It's just whatever.
Yeah, I'm surprised they got away with it, honestly.
Yeah, because it seemed like pretty like it's a. I mean, you get away with a lot with parody law and stuff like that. So
It like said Obi-Wan's name and like.
I think he says "Oh, big one."
Oh, does he?
I noticed that this time. Like,
that's how he got around it.
Yeah.
Okay. When I heard him say Obi-Wan, I was like, "Whoa!"
Yeah, that was.
How are they doing that?
I noticed that on this last like rewatch of it. Then we sorry, Topper goes to the jail cell where Dexter's being held. It's Rowan Atkinson, and Rowan Atkinson says that he can't walk because the Iraqis tied his shoelaces together. So Topper has to carry him to the getaway chopper or whatever. Ridiculous scene.
Oh yeah, Topper says he's like not those bastards or something like that. Something really dramatic.
So he has to carry him throughout, and he's getting shot the whole time. And like, Dexter's like, "Oh, you missed!" Like, he just keeps taking bullets. That was really good.
Made him stop for water along the way too.
When we get back to the helicopter that's getting them away, Ramada confronts Michelle, and you find out that Michelle is the mole, as we've been foretold, and that she went to school with Ramada, and then starts describing this like scene that they had together, and like the colonel's like overhearing it, and he's like very interested. They're describing like when you tied my ankles and like all this stuff up, and then they just found out that they were bungee jumping. It's a serious sport. But I wish I would have written down the yearbook line that she said when I wrote in your yearbook that I would get you back or whatever. That was classic.
Yeah, it's like a two-liner. Like the first one's like normal yearbook, and then the end's like I'm gonna kill you or hunt you down or something.
The only F word in the movie is included here too. So we get that, and then it leads to a fight scene between Michelle and Ramada, which is again a very 90s reference here with the American Gladiators. Doing the whole like last run on the American Gladiators, running up the conveyor belt thing, and then it was good. I remember that. Loved that. Loved American Gladiators.
Yes, I was hoping they were gonna get shot at, by the big cannon.
Oh yeah, I loved that part, the Nerf cannon or whatever.
Yeah.
We had that, and then Dexter and Topper show up. Topper is talking about getting, makes Ramada. He's like, get on the plane or get on the helicopter, Ramada. And she's like, no, I want to stay with you. And he's like, no, you got to get on that thing. But I love this in this exchange. And I think this is one of the exchanges where I think Ramada, the actress that plays Ramada, is just incredible in this. He says, I want to meet your parents and pet your dog. And she goes with just the straightest face, my parents are dead, Topper. My dog ate them, and I died. That was like my last big laugh of this movie.
That is one of like 3 quotes that I wrote down from the whole movie. So, yeah.
My parents are dead, Topper. My dog ate them. It's incredible.
What? How did what kind of dog is it?
And then, we get Dexter tries to take a picture of Ramada and Topper and falls off a cliff. And so that guy's dead. She doesn't have to worry about her husband, Dexter, anymore. So that's great. And then the president shows up.
I mean, Topper like fell like that and just kind of like ostrich into the sand and was good.
Yeah, well, who knows? Topper's different, though. He's built different.
He's built different. Yeah, I mean, he is jacked. So
I forgot that there was a Terminator 2 reference in the fight scene with the president and Saddam Hussein. which that was a little dumb to me. Like, I liked that he like broke him into ice pieces or whatever, and then it like reformed into this like dog Saddam Hussein hybrid. It was a little dumb, a little funny. But they get away in the helicopter, and Saddam Hussein's going to blow up the helicopter, and they drop a piano on him because they were too heavy. And there was a piano on the helicopter for some reason. Kind of a funny little joke to end on. But
Yeah.
what else what do I miss? I feel like I described a lot there, so give it to me.
Oh, yeah. I think that about sums it up there. I loved all the references there at the end. Oh, when the piano killed Saddam, they did like the Wicked Witch, like with the
His feet rolling up or whatever.
up under it. Yeah, that one was good. Let's see, what else did I have from around there? Oh, when he like turns Terminator and like dog hybrid after congeal it. No, that's not the right word. Coming back together from metal form. He said that this is one of the quotes I wrote down. He says, "They've dicked with the wrong dictator."
Oh yeah, I like that line. They've dicked with the wrong dictator.
So solid.
Yeah. So yeah, what did you? I mean,
it kind of comes to a rapid conclusion after the piano falls.
Yeah, I mean, they just ride off into the sunset. It's done. So
yeah, the end.
I'll go through some of my fun facts, and then we'll give our star ratings, and I'll ask you a couple questions that I did not prepare you for. So be ready for that. Krenna, who plays Colonel Troutman, who plays Troutman in the Rambo films, asks Stallone if he would be okay doing pretty much like what is an obvious parody of Rambo, and Stallone was like, "Yeah, all for it." He was more about that. Let's see here. Saddam's palace is actually the set of Tony Montana's mansion in Scarface.
Ooh.
The line "War, it's fantastic" is a parody of the NBA's advertising slogan at the time, which is NBA action. It's fantastic. I looked up a bunch of those YouTube videos of that. Let's see. Rowan Atkinson only has 2 minutes of screen time in the entire movie. So Mr. Bean.
I thought I had misread the opening credits because like it's like the last 15 minutes of the movie where he shows up, and then he's dead. Allegedly.
I don't think we're gonna get a sequel to.
I mean, they did like a Wile E. Coyote. Like,
I know. I love the smoke.
Cloud, yeah. So I think he's still out there somewhere.
Yeah. Let's see. Those are actually all the fun facts I have. I think I named a lot of them while I was going through all the other stuff.
Right.
You have anything else for that?
We saw Bob Vila make a cameo at some point, just like doing some construction stuff, which is funny.
A very 90s reference, like 80s, 90s
right?
reference. Like some kids won't get that.
Yeah. Let's see. Oh, I think so. This is not confirmed, but this is just from the last name, Jim Abrahams. The woman. Okay, so I don't think we mentioned this specifically. When you first meet the president, he's like coming off of a plane or something, like on the campaign trail. Actually, I think in Chattanooga is what they say.
Yeah,
so,
Chattanooga.
Shout out. But he's like going through the crowd and people are giving him flowers and he's like passing him off to his aide. And then like he walks by this woman who has a baby and just grabs the baby and like gives it to his aide and they just like keep going. Which was like funny in passing. But I think that woman and the baby are actually like Jim Abrahams' wife and kid.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because that woman is credited as Nancy Abrahams, which
okay.
His name is Nancy, and then the kid was somebody else Abrahams. I don't remember the name. So
there was also that scene with the living presidents that they're like breaking ground on something, and he like knocks
where
out
he
every single one of them.
stooges all of them. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that was good.
That was a good one.
Let's see, anything else? Anything that we're missing?
The The only other quote I had written down was when they're getting into like the final fight there, the president and Saddam, he says, "We'll settle this the old Navy way. First guy to die loses."
That's incredible. I love it. This is
Yeah.
so dumb. Yeah. Um, is there any way you would make it better? Is there anything you would do to make it better?
Hmm. I think it could have benefited for a little more like actual storyline. I think that's what um, the first movie does better. I do like the like references all over the place, but this one was just kind of like it didn't have as much direction. It was
Yeah.
just kind of throw it at the wall and we'll do whatever we want kind of thing. I don't know that it would have benefited from doing more direct parody of Rambo. I think there was more material to work with in Top Gun in that sense.
Yeah.
So that's probably why it ended up being like this. But
I think it's I've only seen the first Rambo. Take my man card now, I guess. But yeah, I've only seen the first Rambo, which is called First Blood. But this, I think, parodies the second and the third one more. Is
yeah,
what I read, and I don't know how much story there is there. So, like you said, Top Gun, there's an actual story to parody there with Rambo 2 and 3. I don't know how much there is. Like, I think you could have done First Blood, somehow done a First Blood parody, or you could have done Apocalypse Now parody. That would have been good.
yeah.
So, I don't know.
I mean, I feel like they've really maxed out the Rambo parody with the whole body count thing because
Yeah.
that's what those movies are
Yeah,
basically.
exactly. You just need them to have long hair and muscles and shoot a gun, and that's pretty much it. So,
Man, that opening shot where you see him from the back, like it's great.
Yeah,
He's jacked.
he's
And he
jacked.
looks just like him.
What'd you rate it out of 5 stars?
I gave it just a solid 3. No like real rounding or anything. It was. I mean, it was perfect comedy. It made me laugh, but it wasn't like upper tier.
Yeah,
So
I think that's what I gave it to. I think I might have given it a 3.5, but now that I've like watched it a couple times, I'm like, yeah, this is a 3. The first one might have been a little bit more, a little bit better. Give it a 3.5. Um, yeah, I think that's a pretty good score for it. So, that's Hot Shots Part 2. Hopefully, if you guys haven't seen the movie, you'll go out and watch it. It is on HBO Max right now. Both Hot Shots are on there. So go check that out if you haven't. It's
maybe
really,
don't watch the credits if you haven't seen the Crying Game.
yeah, if you really want to
Just
know
a heads up.
if you want to know the Crying Game, just don't watch this. Just go watch the Crying Game. That's a tough watch for some people. So this is a parody movie. We've seen lots of parody movies over the years. Mel Brooks is famous for doing parody movies. There were Austin Powers parodies. The Bond films, they tried to do that back in like the 60s too. We've got a Scary Movie franchise, epic movie, Not Another Teen Movie. What is your favorite parody movie that you think you could pick out?
Favorite parody movie? That's tough. I like the idea of like the scary movie ones better. I feel like the execution is a little bit lacking in those. Yeah, I don't know. It might be Hot Shots after rewatching it. Honestly, like the first
No,
one.
surprising, no Mel Brooks.
Yeah, Airplane's up there. Top Secret is up there. I don't know. Would you call The Man Who Knew Too Little a parody movie? That's not really a parody
It's
movie,
not really
is
a
it?
parody. I don't know. That's a pretty good one though.
I do really like that movie. As like a spy parody.
Mm-hmm.
If that qualifies. I don't know. Honestly, you could say like Scream is kind of a parody of horror movies.
Now you're trying to bend the
That's
rules
reaching.
a little
That's
bit.
reaching.
I know it's a definitely a meta. meta take on.
We won't count that.
I'm
Chad
just
says it's Blazing Saddles a parody.
yeah. That's what I'm. A little surprised that you didn't say any of like Blazing Saddles or Spaceballs or any Mel Brooks. Blazing Saddles would probably be mine, honestly. I think Blazing Saddles is a perfect movie, and Young Frankenstein is close behind it.
Ooh, I forgot about Young Frankenstein. I think I'm gonna have to think about this and get back to you.
I should have
Gut
prepared you.
is possibly Hot Shot. It's definitely not Slapshot. I used to really like Slapshot, but I rewatched those last year, and no,
I have a
they
soft,
are
I have
so
a
good.
soft spot in my heart for Not Another Teen Movie. I love that. We kind of came. There were a lot of teen movies that came out around us. You know, you had the '80s boom, and then the late '90s boom into the 2000s. So I really like that. And I just had one on my mind. Oh, there's a romantic comedy one that I know not a lot of people have seen, and it's done by David Wayne. Wet Hot American Summer might actually be up there too for me. I love Wet Hot
Oh
American
yeah,
Summer. But it stars Paul Rudd and Amy Poehler, and it's a parody of rom-coms like that You've Got Mail and Sleepless in Seattle and all that kind of stuff. But it's called They Came Together, and I think it's wildly underrated. So I'll tell people about that too.
it sounds very risque.
It's not at all. So yeah, maybe we'll make a list on Letterbox. Maybe you could use your Letterbox and actually make lists.
I should do that.
And I'll do the same. I'll make a parodies ranking list. I've been doing a lot of lists on there. Speaking of lists, I've been working on watching all the Tarantino films. So that
Nice.
you and your brother and I can get on here and talk about our Tarantino rankings and just go through those. That'll be probably not next week, but maybe the week after, like a Wednesday of that week.
Yeah, I got to figure out if I can rewatch any of them because they're scrubbed from the internet.
So okay, well, we'll figure it out. We'll get you there. I'll make you watch them.
Yeah, just I might have to do some shady things to do it, but
Yeah,
you
that's
know.
fine. It's fine. So yeah, I thought I was gonna have more questions for you, but it was really just the favorite parodies thing.
Did you think Blazing Saddles is that what you said? He's probably your number one?
I think Blazing Saddles is probably my number one.
Okay. All right. I dig it.
I'm surprised. I'm just surprised you didn't say like Men in Tights or something.
Wait, is Men in Tights 93?
Yes, it is going to be one of the movies
On
that
the
we do.
list?
Yep, it'll be
Okay, cool.
later this year. Do you want me to bring you back for that one?
I mean, you don't have to, but
Maybe I will. You've already done one
I'm on
parody
a-
this year.
I'm on a streak of movies with Godfather references too, so
Hey,
if you want to keep that going too.
okay, we can do that. All right. Well, I guess that's gonna be it for this one. Thank you again, Joseph, for doing this with me. If you are interested in watching this and keeping up with us, you can go to any of my social media platforms. It's CD Waits. That's the same on all social media. So not Facebook, but Twitter, Instagram. You want to add me on there, you can do so. Also, you can add me on Letterboxd. Joseph's available on Letterboxd as well under the name Sir Garlet. I'm on there too. You can check out my list, things that I've been watching. It's a really great app. I don't get paid to say any of this stuff, so if you like movies and want to keep track of the movies that you watch throughout the year, that's a great opportunity for you to do that. So download that and become my friend, and we can talk about movies more. Next week, we are going to change pace a little bit, and we're going to do another erotic. Well, this one's an actual erotic thriller starring Sharon Stone. Any movie that has Sharon Stone, you've got to be prepared, as we talked about with like Basic Instinct. We're doing the movie Sliver. I've never watched Sliver. This will be a first-time watch for me, so it's going to be an interesting one. But we may have some like scheduling issues next week around like Easter, since it's Easter next weekend. So We'll figure that out and get that all set up. So join us next time on 52/1993. Again, thank you, Joseph, and we'll see you out there, and we'll see you at the movies. So
Thanks, Quasi.
thanks.
See ya.